Well, I can truly say that our success and our impact is also yours and your impact as well, because Schimmel Parks law firm is a huge sponsor of the annual Kids Film Awards. You guys have been sponsoring that event for years, really helping us elevate the voices of our young people and showing their stories on the big screen. So I just all around, you're just the whole package, Alan.
I am, aren't I? I mean, we are.
You, yes.
Yeah,
you
a lot
are.
of credit goes to my wife, and for pointing me in the right direction in a lot of ways.
Thank you, Nita.
Hello, and welcome to the Leadership Reality Podcast with your girl, Ty G. Charity. This podcast is for C-suite leaders to discuss their experiences and provide insight, encouragement, and inspiration for seasoned and inspiring leaders, offering valuable solutions to today's challenges that will inspire, ignite, and invigorate new and seasoned leaders to walk in their God-given authority with compassion, kindness, and empathy. So sit back, relax, and be prepared to be inspired with today's episode of Leadership Reality. Thank you.
Welcome to another episode of Leadership Realities with me, Ty G. Charity. I am super excited about today's guest, who I call an unofficial honorary board member of Kids in the Spotlight. Mr. Alan Schimmel is a seasoned attorney with an extensive background in complex litigation and insurance law. Alan began his legal career at a law firm in Los Angeles, where he was deeply involved in major cases like the MGM and Hilton fire litigations. His work led him to become a key figure in multi-district litigation, managing a dual practice in Los Angeles and Las Vegas. In 1987, his pioneering work in representing homeowners associations became a cornerstone in his firm's practice. Following the 1994 Northridge earthquake, Alan focused on suing insurance companies for bad faith, handling over 100 significant cases and uncovering major industry malpractices. In 2003, Alan founded Schimmel Parks, where he continued to lead complex litigation efforts. His noble accomplishments include exploring farmers' insurance's deceptive practices, leading the Porter Ranch blowout and the Malibu fire cases, and representing plaintiffs in high profiles like Me Too cases and drug treatment abuse victims. With decades of experience, Alan remains committed to using his expertise to advocate for justice. Alan, welcome to the show. Thank you for saying yes.
Well, thank you. Thanks for having me. I feel humbled by that introduction, and I'm excited to be here.
I'm excited to have you.
I feel like I've known you for a very, very, very long time.
You have?
I have known you for a very long time.
And I get nervous every time I get to talk to an attorney.
No, you shouldn't be nervous.
I shouldn't be nervous.
Shouldn't be nervous.
Okay, I'll calm down.
We're common folk.
Yes, I am. I'm really happy you said yes. First of all, I just want to acknowledge and thank you for being such a huge supporter of Kids in the Spotlight. For those of you who know about our production studio with Purpose in Van Nuys, we have this beautiful courtroom, and that beautiful courtroom was sponsored by none other than Mr. Alan Schimmel and his beautiful wife, Nita Schimmel. So I just want to publicly say thank you.
Well, thank you for that, and I can't wait to be a part of one of the films.
That's right.
And
he's an actor too, y'all.
Yeah, well,
he's got acting chops.
Yeah, they say the courtroom is an act, but it's very serious stuff for a lot of people.
Yes, I'm sure it is. And I know you take your cases very seriously. You show up 100% for those who you represent.
We do, and we mostly represent victims.
Yes.
Victims, as you said, of abuse, and victims are, the downtrodden masses of society.
Yes.
Who otherwise would not have a voice.
Yes.
So we try to do that, and that's to me, that's really exciting work.
Yeah.
And you and I've known you for a long time, and my wife Nita obviously has been involved with you for forever. Mm-hmm. The work you do here is amazing.
Thank you.
As far as is just helping young people, get into work on a craft that basically can change their life.
Absolutely.
And when you talk about trying to take young people and people of all types and from where they come from, and trying to mentor them and change their life. We try to do the same with our small organization.
Yeah.
But we see, people who, they're scared of becoming a lawyer. They don't know any lawyers. They don't
Right.
have friends who are lawyers. They don't have family members who are lawyers, and yet they become a lawyer. And we try to mentor them through school,
Yeah.
undergrad, law school, and become a lawyer.
Well, I can truly say that our success and our impact is also yours and your impact as well, because Schimmel Parks law firm is a huge sponsor of the annual Kids Film Awards. You guys have been sponsoring that event for years, really helping us elevate the voices of our young people and showing their stories on the big screen. So I just all around, you're just the whole package, Alan.
I am, aren't I? We are.
Yes.
Yeah, a lot of credit goes to my wife, and for pointing me in the right direction in a lot of ways.
Thank you, Nita. I met Alan's wife at AJU. We both went to American Jewish University together, and she's a firecracker, and I love her. So she's doing a good job with you.
Yes.
Yes.
In the last decade. That's true.
So look, let's talk
Sure.
leadership, though. Sure. Let's talk about, when did Alan first realize his leadership qualities, or when did you first step into a leadership role?
I think I was 3 years old.
Okay.
No, I was not.
Oh, I was about to say, hey.
I was. No, I think I probably had indicia, big legal word, of leadership qualities as you go through educating yourself, as you go through school, mm-hmm. as you either hit the books hard, mm-hmm. Become part of a study group, mm-hmm. or for me, that I was probably more involved in studying and, getting grades in school.
You were a nerd? Were you a nerd?
I was a nerd, but I could go between different groups of people.
Okay.
So
you were a nerd with one group, and then the other group,
like I tried to
party
play sports.
People, you were that too?
Yeah, I tried to play sports, but I was too little. But I hung out with big guys.
Okay.
So I would surround myself with protection.
That's smart.
So, but you start tutoring people, and I can't say that I would. Looking back on this, I would think I went to Taft High School in Woodland Hills, mm-hmm. and I think I tutored two would-be Playboy bunnies. They both became Playboy bunnies, but I guess that's just happenstance. But
Interesting career choice.
I would tutor kids at school, and later on at UCLA. I tried not to think of myself as a nerd, but I did well in class.
Yeah.
I did well in school. So we had study groups.
Yeah, I married a nerd, so it's okay.
Yeah. So we had study groups, but I always knew, like, I think I read a book in 9th grade, mm-hmm. and it was about Clarence Darrow.
Okay.
Who, for young people, would wonder, who is that?
Right.
And they just go on their Google and but at that point I thought, oh, that sounds like something I could do, because I got no other abilities.
Yeah.
I could talk and think, but so I thought then I'd go pursue being a lawyer. And my family had no lawyers. Mm-hmm. My dad couldn't even spell lawyer.
Wow.
And it's something I just headed towards. So.
That's good. You followed your passion. You followed your skill set. Were there any attorneys that you looked up to and admired that kind of made you want to go in that direction? Or did it have anything to do with debating? Did you like to debate? Did you like to argue?
I think it had to do with speaking.
Okay.
It's called debating, speaking, speech classes, speech, arguing.
Yeah.
Arguing for argument's sake, talking about history, mm-hmm. talking about politics. Mm-hmm. We're talking about when I went to UCLA, people were coming back from Vietnam, a very different time.
Yeah.
And so, people had views about the war.
Right.
People had views about veterans, but it was kind of a political, very hotbed of politics at that time. Something akin to what's going on now.
All right, I was about to say we're in an interesting political season now.
But so you got into debates, you got into discussions, But I think I really can't put my finger on anyone in the profession when I was becoming, going to law school that I want to be like that person.
Okay.
I really can't.
So you paved your own way. That's a good thing.
I wanted to be in the profession. I didn't know much about the profession.
Okay.
In fact, I didn't know anything. Now I went to Pepperdine, which was the first graduating class at Malibu.
Oh, wow.
And there were folks at Pepperdine who were in the, I'll call them gentry class. Mm-hmm. And there was Rick Caruso went to school.
Oh, wow.
At Pepperdine.
Really?
The class after
Are y'all
me.
still friends today?
I know Rick.
Okay.
So I can't.
Okay.
I'd say we know each other from Pepperdine, but we certainly don't run in those same crowds.
I understand.
Nor, my dad didn't hand me $400 million to grow into billions either.
Right,
so,
right.
No, it's interesting. One thing I think about my dad, he was a sheet metal contractor, and as a kid, I worked for my dad through school, and I think he wanted me to build his company.
Okay.
And to his credit, he let me become a lawyer.
That's
and
good.
He didn't force me, because I definitely had my own path.
Wow.
And
that's great, because parents do that. Once when they, sometimes build a business, they expect their kids to kind of walk in their footsteps, to carry the family business. So that's very noble of your dad to kind of really let you shine in the area where you felt most comfortable.
Yeah,
and it paid off very well, because you're a very
Sure.
successful attorney and great law firm and all of that.
I'm trying to talk my daughter into following my footsteps. It ain't
You gotta
working.
be like your dad.
It ain't working. But
she's gonna be all right.
She wants to teach, which is very
noble. Great. Yeah.
Probably more noble than the legal profession in a lot of ways. But yeah, so I.
Well, based on the type of law and the cases that you take on, it's very noble, because you are looking out for those who are less, I hate to use the word fortunate, but that need somebody to really advocate for them and on their behalf. So you're handling those types of cases, which is amazing.
That's true. And again, if you went through my bio pretty quickly, and a lot of the times we plaintiff lawyers say, we learned our craft working for the evil dark side, because that's the side that I worked for at first, learning your craft, and then I became going after that side.
Yeah.
So it's almost like, thinking about, and when you work for the government, when you're prosecuting everyone out there, prosecuting all these people who've gotten in all these terrible situations, and then you flip, and now you're defending them. You become a defense lawyer. It's kind of like that, because at first you're representing corporations, insurance companies, and things like that. Right?
And now you're suing those people.
Right. And now I'm suing utilities, corporations, insurance companies, treatment abuse.
Yeah.
With Me Too cases, celebrities that I can't talk about.
Right.
That they have an NDA on, so I can't mention some of the very, very rich celebrities we've sued.
Yeah. Wow. And I love the fact that your law firm, I think I understood this correctly, works on a contingency basis, which is also amazing, because you can represent a certain group of people who need, your level of expertise, but they can't afford to hire an attorney. So the fact that your law firm works on a contingency basis means you get paid when they get paid.
Yeah, and we tell juries all the time, because the defense will say, well, he gets a piece of what happens here, to try to really put that forward, that we're greedy plaintiff lawyers. And,
right.
The reality is that contingencies are the keys to the courthouse, that they allow people that don't have millions of dollars to spend on lawyers,
right.
like corporations, to go against corporations.
Yeah.
And again, in our country, that's becoming harder and harder to do.
Yeah,
With
sure.
the Bush administration passing basically the Federal Arbitration Act, causing a lot of litigation to go into arbitration. Arbitration favors corporations. A lot of those lawyers who are arbitrators were corporate lawyers. Mm-hmm. It's kind of the it just.
Usually in the employee's policy handbook now, or the company's handbook, that if there's some type of dispute, they want you to either mediate first or go through arbitration before you jump into a lawsuit.
Yeah, I'd say about 70% of the corporations, right. maybe more, have arbitration
as a requirement first.
Yes,
first step.
As a requirement of employment.
Mm-hmm.
So we fight that all the time.
Yeah.
Some of these agreements are unconscionable, some are illegal. They're getting better and better. And in California, so we're fortunate to live in California.
Yeah, because it's a very litigious state.
Well, we're fortunate because the laws are still more liberal than if you were in Texas. Mm. I mean, it's not that Elon Musk, wants to go to Texas because of taxes necessarily. Mm-hmm. The labor laws, and we've sued Elon before for SpaceX and Tesla.
Oh, wow.
in employment cases. He wants to go to Texas because he doesn't care about his employees, and neither does Texas. Mm-hmm. So, they're very pro-corporate, those jurisdictions. Wow. Whereas California still has, a democratic base mm-hmm. that's very for the employee. So anyway, yeah. I digress.
Wow, this is so rich. I feel like I'm in law school 101 right now, getting a full education about this whole litigation landscape, which is great. But in terms of, I want to bring it back to just leadership sure. and building your law firms, because you had a different law firm, and then you revamped and created a new law firm, which is now Schimmel Parks. That's been in existence for how long? I think
25 years.
25 years
it's actually
now?
In existence a little before we actually started. I knew Mike Parks prior to that.
So what was that like, building a law firm, building a team around you? What was that like
sure.
for you?
And so I've really built two law firms.
Okay.
And the one law firm disbanded before I created Schimmel Parks. But I think for me, you start having a vision.
Yes.
And kind of I don't have to tell you, you're really a great leader, and you've created something that most people would never dream of. But you have a vision, mm-hmm. and you have to work really hard, and it takes discipline, and it also takes stubbornness mm-hmm. in the face of insanity and failure. Mm-hmm. So, and along with that discussion of leadership, I mentor a lot of people, and as you go through your years, and I've been a lawyer for 43 years, I think. Mm-hmm. So I've seen a lot of young lawyers come and go, and lawyers, and become lawyers and become really good lawyers too, and people who leave the profession. Mm-hmm. But failure is one of those learning experiences.
Yes.
Especially if you fail and you still exist.
Yes.
So if you can, and when I try to tell most of my lawyers, young lawyers, even older lawyers, look, I'm not gonna have you do something that I don't think is gonna, be salvageable.
Yes.
That will just destroy you, and because that's not a learning experience.
Right.
That's and that's something you don't want in your organization, and that's something you don't want for a client. Mm-hmm. I mean, I always have to remember, no matter what we do as lawyers, we represent clients.
Yes.
Right, and so maybe you have the same thought process because you really deal with kids' lives, mm-hmm. right? Mm-hmm. And so that might be more important than representing clients, but we represent clients, and sometimes we represent a lot of minors, and so it's important the moves we make, so to speak. Yeah. But when you leadership, you want to kind of set a tone. You mm-hmm. want to set what's acceptable, what's not acceptable. You know, a lot of lawyers will do things that will go beyond the line of ethics and what's acceptable and what's not.
Yes.
You know, kind of back to corporations. Corporations do it all the time. The profit motive. I mean, you know, on this, you know, price gouging of you know, going to the grocery store and everything. I mean, I'd love to sue the folks who have done that. They're making 5 times the profit they made 2 years ago, and that's crazy. But so you try to have a lot of like-minded people, with different backgrounds.
Yeah. I mean, I've had the privilege of meeting, I think probably most of your team, which is absolutely amazing. And one of the things that I'm so impressed about is just the longevity. Like, you've built a team of people around you who've been there for a while. So you have this, you know, I guess, I'm sure, this level of trust among you. How were you able to do that? Like, did you just hit it out of the ballpark the first time you started hiring, or did you kind of build that culture within the law firm?
I mean, I think you try to build a culture, and try a vision, and you, and again, you try to be on the same page of what is acceptable, or who you want to represent, and who you don't want to represent.
Okay.
Because, and again, one thing I've been fortunate in my firms, my career is, especially in the last probably 30 years, picking and choosing what clients I want to have.
Yeah.
And what I think what should be our passion. And again, a lot of that comes from my passion, but mostly the lawyers who are surrounding me have that same passion.
Yeah.
If not, they don't stay very long.
Yeah.
Because when you deal with victims, it's emotional, it's traumatic, you're dealing with families, you can't really fake it.
Right.
I mean, you really, you know, you either have great feelings for people,
compassion,
or you don't.
Right.
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 I mean, you know, discrimination cases against LAPD or shooting cases against LAPD. We've, you know, those kinds of cases, you know, you really, you know, it sounds cliche, but I mean, you're really talking about championing someone's either family member who's died,
right,
or their rights.
Right.
So
you've basically built a team of people who have a heart for people.
Yeah.
Is that safe to say?
It's a good softball at me. Yes.
It's a good softball.
So I'll agree. I'll agree. So yeah, and I think I mean, there's a lot of lawyers who defend corporations, and you know, we don't exactly mock them, but they're kind of heartless, bloodless people in a way, you know, and everyone to them is a malingerer, and everyone to them, you know, they shouldn't, they're on welfare, they're, you know, taking advantage of the system, you know, when they're talking about our clients, and you know, we see the world so differently.
Yeah.
You know, we and again,
you humanize your clients.
Well, I think it comes from the fact that we feel that way. Otherwise, we wouldn't
Right.
have these clients.
Yeah.
You know, otherwise you can't deal with the clients if you're faking it.
Right.
But again, and I was going to say.
But I'm sure you experience attorneys that do.
Yeah.
That just
absolutely.
take on cases. It's really about the bottom line.
Absolutely. Well, not only is it about the bottom line, but it's about their view of people in society and how they value certain people
over
versus certain people.
Another group of people.
That's right. That's right.
That's got to be very hard.
I don't know that hard's the right word, because it's something that you're passionate about. I mean,
so basically, either you are or you're not.
Yeah.
It's one or the other.
Yeah.
There's no in between. Either you care or you don't.
Right.
Is that correct?
Well, yeah, and if you see something that looks horribly wrong, and you want to do something about it, what's amazing about the profession, we actually have the power to do something about it.
Yeah.
You know, where there's so much red tape with everything else in legislature and you know, and you know, at certain levels of politics. but actually we as lawyers, if you take something on and you can really make some changes, especially for the families or for the person, right? And
Have you had anybody on your team where you questioned their motive in taking on a case, and you were very the culture that you've set within your law firm, like we're going in without these preconceived ideas and these judgments about a certain client, and maybe you've had somebody on your team that brought in some of those judgments or things like that. Have you had to deal with that at all?
well, sure. I dealt with that in the first law firm that I created. That, which was part of the reason the firm split up, because a portion of the firm was much more into the bottom line and making money. And in our profession, it's easier to make money if you're paid hourly.
Yes.
From corporations or from general counsel work or from that. It's harder to make money if you have to work on a contingency, because you better pick right, and you better do a good job, and otherwise you're going to be out of business. So that's kind of the business model, and I always like putting my ass on the line, living and dying by my choices and by what we would do
your personal
and champion.
convictions.
Sure. And there's a lot of things we don't do, and I know this is about leadership and not so much about what we or my moaning and groaning about the profession, but
that's all a
right
part
now
of it, because that makes you who you are.
I mean, right now I can't stand the billboard signs that we all see and the ads we all see for personal injury lawyers, and they're my plaintiff lawyer brethren. We don't do any of that work, by the way. So we don't do auto accidents, slip and fall, dog bites.
But those are also contingency, right?
They are.
Most of those?
They are.
Okay.
They are. And the hard part is they have almost became claims adjusters for plaintiffs versus, so if you get in an accident, there's a claims adjuster for the insurance company, and they tell you.
I used to be one.
Right, they tell you what your case is worth, because they have algorithms, and they have, you did this.
Well, when I did it, there were no algorithms.
So
but yes,
so the plaintiff bar on the PI side, personal injury, and I'm talking about the, sweet this and this guy and the other guy whose name is plastered all over. They're pretty much case management type law firms they don't go to court.
Right.
They
try not to.
They'll farm it out to a better lawyer so
they want to know the policy limit, and they try to see if they can max out at the policy limit.
And I guess, I'm maybe old school. I should retire soon. I won't. But to me, I think they're giving the wrong impression. And it's like when I never watched Judge Judy, but when I did see glimpses of giving the wrong impression to the population out there of what happens in real lawsuits when someone's really injured or someone's raped or some family member's killed, or because they get on TV and they say, I just got $1 million for my thumb getting hurt, or the old McDonald, spilling case, which
the hot coffee
case,
yes, or the hot cocoa,
which defense would misquote in front of a jury, and we plaintiff lawyers for the longest time would have to actually straighten out what actually happened in that case, and why McDonald's got tagged so bad is because they were superheating water to past the point of boiling so they could get more cups of coffee out of the grind. That no one, very rarely does that get discussed. So they got tagged for doing that, and flimsy cup as well. But yeah, so anyway, that was my little thing about billboards.
Have you ever thought about being a judge? Outside of us casting you, because we're waiting to cast you in one of the films as a judge, but have you ever thought about being a judge?
Well, a long time ago, I was asked about it, and I forget which administration, and at that time I still really wanted to work, wanted to, keep being a lawyer, and also wanted to make more money.
Okay.
So, and that was a long time ago.
Okay.
But then recently I have a really good friend, and in fact, she was on the opposite side of me for most of our battles together. She was a defense lawyer, all female law firm, and she just became a judge.
Nice.
And so,
in which district?
Los Angeles County.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's great.
Actually, she sits in Compton right now in civil, but she'll get moved soon. But she's really good lawyer, really good judge.
Okay.
But yeah, to answer your question, I don't know.
You'll see.
Let's see.
I can see you in a black robe with a gavel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
You got that,
Well,
seriously. But that's the thing. People may not always know when to take you serious because you got this straight look, but sometimes you just like a real jokester.
I was going to say that about leadership too. One of the things, you've got to have passion. You've got to have, a real kind of worldview, I guess, for lack of a better term.
Yeah.
But passion about what we do and how we're going to do it and all that driven stuff that makes you crazy. Also, you've got to be prepared. But you also got to be a little bit light.
Yeah.
You can't be so serious all the time about what we do.
Yeah.
And I tried a case, a discrimination case against either the sheriff's department, I think it was LAPD, and our officer was a black training officer at LAPD, and they just were messing with this guy horribly, and this was a long time ago. And he was in the training squad, and one of the head training squad hurt the guy, hurt him.
Oh, really?
Yeah, trying to show him a move that they had to train the officers on, and I think and whether a lot of old time lawyers, and it's out of vogue now, but they used to quote Bible. I like to quote TV shows or movies.
Okay.
So in my closing argument, I said, that squad house was more like, or the way I said it, and they quoted it in the papers, it was less like Law and Order and more like Police Squad, which was a funny movie at the time.
Oh.
But again, the jurors loved it because we won the case. So I do that in the practice. I do that with my team. Yeah, and
how would your team describe you?
oh God, that would be interesting. Old, Biden-esque. I don't know. I think flexible, easygoing, driven,
no doubt.
a pain in the ass. Yeah, I'm pretty. I mean, one of the things, and I think it's really, when you talk about leadership and those things, I think getting people to be organized, getting people to be committed, getting people to do what they say they're going to do. I mean, I'm big on those.
Ooh, hold on, let me take a sip of water on that one. Those are big things.
Yeah.
Those are very important things.
So if I get a commitment from you, I'll say, okay, Taiji, when will you have that done by? And you say, you look at the calendar and say, I'll have it done in 10 days. I say, okay, that's good, 10 days. Write down. Yeah, I expect it to be done
in
at
10
that,
days.
because you set the parameters.
Absolutely.
You said, I don't like to set parameters unless it's like a rush, has to be done. In our profession, you've got a 30-day clock on most things.
Right.
But I want to keep people to their
word.
That's right.
Yeah. And if you're coming up against a deadline and you don't think you're going to communicate.
Right.
That's all.
And I try
Communication is key.
Yeah, and organization.
Organization,
Organized
communication, absolutely.
Communication, that whole thing. I make lots of lists. I'm very anally retentive about. I mean, I'll go to court now. I won't need to look at notes or anything, but I can't help myself. I will the night before look at the file, look at the thing, and go. And it's just training, right?
Yeah.
And I want, I'll go with the younger lawyers to court and watch them, and I have to stay quiet.
Yeah.
I want them to learn.
Yeah.
And again, my mantra on a lot of that is, look, hopefully they'll fail up and they'll learn from it, and we'll talk about it after, and it's not going to destroy anything, and I feel real good about that. It's not going to destroy anything.
Yeah.
If it would destroy someone, it'd be on me.
Yeah. That's a good way to look at it. When I'm working with people, I'm always trying to avoid them from making mistakes if I can. And sometimes my COO is the best at it. Let them do it. Let them fail. But it's like, but I don't want them to fail. I want to help them so they don't fail. He's like, no, that's how they learn. So I'm working on that myself because I'm a fixer. I will jump in and fix things immediately. Or if I see you getting ready to fall or fail in a certain area, I'm right there trying to prevent it from happening. So that's a great leadership, leadership quality.
And again, I've got so many more years on me than you, but I used to be much more fix it. I was more of and I'm still a control freak, but
that's the fancy word for it, controlling?
Control freak, yeah. I've tried in the last decade to be less that and again, I think the talent of a leader is picking and knowing and choosing what is critical and what they can kind of learn by. Otherwise, you're always going to do it yourself.
Yeah.
And so my partner was more of he would, rather than show someone, he would do it himself.
Yeah.
And you can't grow because you can't delegate. You can't grow if you do that.
Right.
Now, they might call me at my firm the master delegator, among other things. But, there's a science to learning how to do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So.
This is so good, Alan. We can just sit and talk all day, but now we got to land the plane.
All day.
We got to bring it to an end. I am so grateful for you again saying yes and coming.
I didn't even get to say who my favorite leader is right now.
Yeah, tell me. Go ahead. Who's your favorite leader?
I could say all the, obviously I'm a consumer lawyer, a tort lawyer, so I'm a Democrat. So, by virtue of the fact that the Republicans want to do away with us. But, and I could say Obama, and I could say a number of people, and great orator. And I think it's changed in the last 3 weeks that I'd almost have to say Biden.
In the last 3 weeks?
Yeah, I'd have to say Biden.
Okay.
Because, and it's something I'd have to work on as I get older, because he selflessly gave up the presidency.
Yes, he did.
To the new.
To Kamala.
That's right.
Yes.
That's right.
Yeah.
So I'd actually have to look at that, about that selflessness.
Yes.
And editing with all his, age and speech issues and problems and all that, I'd have to really look at that. And in my opinion, he'd probably go down as, if
it's definitely admirable.
Yeah, if the Harris ticket wins, which I would think they do. You could talk about an hour on the other guy.
Yeah, that's a whole nother. Yeah, we could spend a whole day talking about politics in our current climate, but absolutely.
Yeah.
That is very, very admirable. I watched last night as the two of them shared the stage together, and everybody, I think, was chanting, go Joe, go Joe, yes Joe, yes Joe, something like that.
Yeah.
So
I can't understand, landing the plane, I know we have to land the plane, but some of the things that come out of Trump's mouth, to me, if there was a judge listening, they would kick him out of the courtroom. When you see some, the thing
we have a
missing,
whole Supreme Court judges that are listening.
Well,
you're about to get us in trouble.
Right. Cut that.
You're about to get us in trouble. Yes.
Yeah.
Well,
anyway, that's another day.
That's a part 2.
Vote.
No, that would be a part 2, part 3, part 4, and part 5.
Yeah, me on politics.
That would be. But I'm sure it'll be a great conversation. No, thank you so much, Alan.
Thank you.
But if someone wanted to hire your law firm, what would they need to do? How would they get in contact with you?
A number of ways.
They can call me?
They can call you. They can call any of the kids.
Okay. And your website is what? Alan? No, it's Schimmel Parks. Schimmel Parks? Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, we're not the greatest marketers.
Yeah.
We just, because.
But your reputation speaks for you.
Well, most of our cases come from other lawyers.
Oh, okay.
Referral and people.
Okay.
Yeah, we're not, I mean, we're not like I said, we're not the billboard lawyers.
Marketing.
We're not,
yeah. Understood.
Yeah.
Understood.
Yeah.
Thank you for the work that you do. Thank you for showing up. Thank you for being a huge supporter of the work we do here at Kids in the Spotlight. I am forever grateful. You will always be on speed dial. I think you already know that.
Sure.
And when I can't reach you, I call Nita and say, I need Alan.
And one of your questions says, who's your leader? What's one of your questions?
Who's your favorite leader?
Yeah, well, I just said.
Okay, what
right
was
now,
one of my questions? Let's see. I told you we have plenty, and sometimes I don't get to all of them. I asked who.
It's down at the bottom
who's
of
your
the question.
favorite leader? Oh, well, what 3 descriptions would your team use to categorize you? We talked about that.
My favorite leader, I was going to say, is my wife.
Oh, you're scoring brownie points right now.
Trying.
You purposely. I like that.
Yeah.
I like that.
I think that ends it.
Yes, it does. Antonio, take notes. Thank you so much, Alan.
You.
Guys, that is our show today. I hope you have heard something, some nugget, some information that will help you on your leadership journey. Thank you so much to my amazing team, our producer, Kimberly Sparks, our jack of all trades who handles lights, cameras, everything, Mr. Ed Broadus himself and his amazing interns, our amazing interns who support him. Thank you. We could not do this work without you. Until next time, remember, there are always leadership tips that can help you on your journey. So keep tuning in and do those 3 magical things: like, share, and subscribe. Until next time, bye now.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that is our show for today. I hope you were inspired and you gained some valuable nuggets that will help you to become a better leader and to walk in your God-given authority. Bye, until next time.